Hi, everybody. I'm here with Sarah White, and we're talking recruiter enablement. So, Sarah, like royalty of talent acquisition
Oh my gosh.
technology. Thank you.
I think
Thank
that's
you
another
for
way to
joining
say
me.
that I'm old.
No, I think you're younger than me, but anyway, right. Give us an introduction if anybody doesn't know who you are.
My name's Sarah White. I'm the founder of Apsect43, and we do research and strategy around kind of the talent tech, HCM tech space. And we're really looking at what is coming up in technology that's going to impact and change work. And we take a lot of our influence actually from what practitioners and employees are actually looking for in order to help change product roadmaps, go to market strategies, and really get more cohesion than we've ever actually had in this industry.
Right. Okay. I just want to add to that. I've met Sarah a few times, and every time I meet Sarah, she tells me something that like blows my mind because I've like suddenly the dots are all joined up on a few things. So, right. You posted on LinkedIn recently, the area recruiter enablement, something that is a trend that's going to emerge in 2024, and there are martech companies coming to you and investors and whatever coming to you going, what should we be doing in here? Introduce us to the talent landscape. Like,
Yeah.
tell us a bit more. Give us a bit more of a summary. What's happening?
Yeah, so I would say 2022 is when we really started to see the influx coming in of Marcom companies, of other types of like sales enablement type of products, even some like graphic design type of tech, starting to really take note of what was happening in the talent acquisition landscape. And we obviously publish a lot of research in the space. We publish all of our research entirely for free. How we actually get paid is by the vendors and investors. And we're really clear and upfront by that because that's how we get to do all of the cool stuff for practitioners for free. So we took a lot of time over the last 2 years, and we've actually worked with a number of companies that are starting to investigate and look at moving into the HR tech and talent tech market that historically came out of, like I said, either Marcom or sales enablement tech. And as part of that, obviously the investors are taking note also because everybody is getting pinched a little bit right now. So how do we take the technology we already have that's working really well and really successfully in other areas of the business, but we know we can't just apply that directly to talent acquisition. So how do we take it? What changes need to be done? What does talent acquisition actually want? At the same time, we have seen one of the largest layoffs of talent acquisition professionals in my 20-year career. And it's unlike anything that we have seen previously. Obviously, we've gone through a lot of these type of ebbs and flows over the years, but this one is definitely different. And one of the key reasons it's different is because there is technology that is coming in not to replace, but to enable those that are remaining. In our buyer behavior research, the number one reason people are buying any type of HCM or talent technology right now is to simplify the life for the people that have been left and that are still there. And so any of these type of tools are kind of creating this perfect storm of how do we actually create things to properly enable the employees that we have so that their engagement is up. How do we do it with the newer type of technology that didn't even exist 5 years ago so that it's also measurable, actionable, and impactful? And how do we combine those to actually change how we are hiring, not just for the candidates, not just for the hiring managers, but also for the recruiters themselves?
Hmm. Yeah. Okay. Um, I don't. I entirely agree with everything you've just said. So in terms of uh, like insights, I'm interested to know. I'm gonna give a bit of information, and then I'm gonna ask you for
Yeah.
insight on it. Right. So when I first started Candidate ID, somebody who I won't mention, but that I'm married to, said to me that we have a very small window of opportunity because it's very obvious that Marketo and Pardo and HubSpot will put marketing automation into talent acquisition. And I said, I just don't think they will. They've got bigger fish to fry over on the other side where they are.
Yeah.
And to this day, they haven't really done it. I think Sales Fusion or Infusionsoft did create a like recruiter sort of version of their marketing automation tech, but it was fleeting. It was maybe a year or something they were doing it. I have, however, seen more recently products like Gong actually, making a recruit like themselves available to recruiters. And I think Canva have maybe put something together which is dedicated to recruiters. Why is this also your experience that actually they weren't really interested until more recently?
So I would say 2017 to 2019, we actually saw a number of those companies come in and investigate that market. And so we worked with a lot of their investors. We worked a lot with them. I would say we have about a 70% of the time when outside vendors come in to try to investigate whether they want to move into this market. About 70% of the time, after we lay everything out, we show them what would have to change in their product, their go-to-market strategies, all of the other stuff. They decide against it. It's not the right fit for them at this time. With kind of your prior situation, your wife was right. They were all actively looking at coming into the space. The problem is they came in 2 to 3 years too late. And so by the time they were able to fully dedicate the resources to catch up, they would have been behind. What's happening now is they've actually come in, a lot of them started, like I said, a year or 2 years ago. And so they have come in to get a groundwork of understanding. I know there was a number that showed up at HR Tech on the sly, that we were meeting with and kind of walking the floor with and kind of talking through these things. And so I know they're better prepared, they better understood. They took the last 2 or 3 years to really understand what was happening in the market and also look at their own resourcing and make sure they were steady and solid with what they were doing. I think we're going to see a lot more outside companies flip into the space than we have ever seen before. And part of that also is buying patterns. So we know not all buying patterns are ending at TA anymore. And so as the technology is expanding out, there's a little bit of the land and expand model that they're going to be able to play off of. Where some of them are going to fail is they're not going to correct their product enough for this industry, and they're going to try to sell the same solution, just packaged a little bit differently.
Oh, there's so many things I want to add to that and ask about on that. But I'm also aware that this is what you do for a living, so I don't want to
It's okay,
like
ask
take
away.
up all your time. Right. Well, okay. One or two quick things. The certainly the challenge with if you were to just hand HubSpot to a talent acquisition team, they would go, what do those fields mean? I'm not really
Yeah,
sure. If you handed, in my case, I'm building a recruiter enablement product. If HighSpot just landed in a recruitment team's lap, they wouldn't know what the different
right.
function was for, because the words aren't words that they're familiar with using. It's almost as simple as that. However, there is a big difference in the way that you, I think, go about selling within the
100%.
HR space.
Oh, drastic. HR and talent buyers buy unlike any other area of B2B.
Hmm.
And so all rules don't apply. So it's also why when we see people from marketing or sales leadership from outside of the industry come in, they usually have a longer ramp up time and struggle quite a bit because the
Hmm.
buyer behavior is drastically different. But to your point, I think this is where a lot of products fail because the implementation, even of existing talent products or recruiting products or HCM solutions, the implementation is so vitally important because we have so many people trained just in their single discipline that they don't really think through, how can I use this in a different way? How can I use, I mean, this is where kind of candidate CRM came out of in the whole beginning. Quite honestly, it was very close to just an ATS with different labels on it. But how it was packaged, how it was marketed, how the labels worked, the things that were removed, those little nuances. When we talk to companies that are used to doing, you go to like one of the large CRMs and they're looking at this and they're like, well, they'll change it. I'm like, they won't. They don't have to, because we've always had specialized tech coming into the space. And so there's not been the necessity, but you're 100% right. Like a lot of it is simply labeling, But that labeling takes a lot of time. It takes a lot of understanding. It's a very expensive implementation to correct. And then good luck finding somebody that understands both sides of these things. And so it's why, that really specific go-to-market, which when we talk about go-to-market, it's not just from a sales or a marketing perspective, but it's making sure you have a product market fit, ready product to go to market with. It's a very cohesive strategy that you have to be ready to go with. And that's where there's going to be differentiation 100%, regardless of how big of a brand is.
Yeah, I imagine that given there's certain areas of like mainstream sales and marketing technology where, I mean, they're at like full utilization by now, and I'm like something like a CRM, for example. I imagine that moving into the talent space would be attractive though, because as far as I understand, we spend a heck of a lot more money on these solutions than they do in mainstream sales and marketing.
Yeah.
So if I was going to buy Salesforce for my 100 strong team, or I was going to buy Avature for my 100 strong recruitment team, Avature is vastly more expensive, I think.
Yeah. I would agree. In general, the specialized tech is a lot more expensive. I think where we find a lot of the external vendors are struggling, or where they kind of block, is more understanding. There's a lot of politics in the space as you're coming to market. There's a lot of partnership requirements that are coming in. There's a lot of nuance in the sales process that just doesn't exist. You don't have as much flexibility of having hands-off purchasing. They like a very high touch buying process in the space, which is a lot more expensive, where I've never had a call to buy a CRM before, right? Like I'm not buying for a Fortune 100, but like if I don't want to call, I don't want to talk to anybody as a business owner or as a business leader. And I think there's a different philosophy in kind of the high touch. There's events you have to be at, there's people you have to talk to. There's a lot of nuance to this market, which if somebody's not ready to go all in, they just spin their wheels and lose money.
Yeah. Okay, Sarah, thank you for joining me today.
Of course.
That's been really insightful as always, and I am very eager to see what the developments are. I'm a big. I'm going to spend the next 10 years. I'm going to spend the next 10 years, taking concepts from mainstream sales and marketing that we haven't yet developed into talent acquisition and applying them. That's my plan. So the more people that are doing it, the better, because competition's the soul of trade, as my former colleague Scott McRae used to say. And I think that a rising tide lifts all boats.
Yeah,
So,
we know we need 4 competitors in any category for buyers to think it's a valid category. So that's again, one of the big differentiators for the HR tech and the talent tech. If you don't have 4 people very relevant, actively marketing in the space, it's almost a kiss of death.
Yeah. I mean, I have had, honestly, with Candidate ID, we did at one point say, I think we need to get another office, put in a managing director, set up another brand, and then we'll do it a third time. So now I know. Thank you for that. I would need to do that 4 times to have created a valid category that everyone recognizes.
Yeah. It was great. Well, thank you for having me.
Yeah, good to see you, Sarah. See you again soon.